What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time I know you guys are gonna love. It was sent into me by a subscriber. It's a childhood story of his from when he was a little bit younger. But basically this rich kid in his neighborhood ended up blowing up his gaming laptop, which, you know, is obviously a bit of a weird situation, but I knew I had to share it with you guys because you love story times about spoiled kids and gaming, baby. So a 2-for-1 special, you know, we're throwing it together like a Black Friday discount. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the person who sent this into me grew up on a 50-acre farm in a country town. So there wasn't like a metric butt ton of people around his age to hang out with, especially in the immediate area. So he would like explore the woods around his farm and everyone else's land with like the 3 or 4 neighborhood kids. And for the most part, everyone was really normal, but there was one kid in their group who has like a lot more land than them. You know, 50 acres is a lot, but he had thousands, or his dad did, not him. And they had found some oil on the land, so this dude was kind of rolling in the dough a little bit. And this takes place in like the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006. And their rich friend, who we're going to call Lucas, had gotten them all like into WoW, World of Warcraft, which was really popular at the time, and they would play from time to time, and everyone else was playing on, you know, the family PC. But Lucas had gone out and convinced his parents to buy him a $3,000 gaming laptop. Anyways, when they weren't playing World of Warcraft, you know, they were out exploring the woods, goofing off, all that stuff. I'm only covering what laptop he had and what games they were playing because it'll be important later. And at the time, you know, like I said, it's a childhood story of his. They were about 13, 14 years old, so they would just walk around the woods, goof off, you know. Every now and then would like throw a rock into a frozen pond or throw a rock into a normal pond and watch the splash, that type of stuff. But one day, the subscriber who sent this in to me got a huge pack of fireworks from his older brother. They had some bottle rockets, firecrackers, you know, some mortars, all that stuff. But the one caveat his older brother had told him when he gave him it was that he couldn't tell his parents about it because obviously they would be a little iffy about this kid running around playing with a bunch of fireworks in the middle of the woods with everyone else. And the older brother was being cool for giving it to him, so his one rule when he was giving it to him is just like, don't tell mom and dad. But one thing that they would do is they would basically go to the stash of fireworks because he had made a little stash for it in a log where they would keep them all, and they would blow stuff up. It started pretty simply, you know, they would like strap a log to an M80 and blow it up just to watch it go boom, that type of stuff. And logs turned into action figures turned into like glass bottles. Pretty soon it was just basically them going out into the woods and just blowing stuff up, and they were slowly working their way through all the fireworks, but his brother had given them a ton of them. So they would just wrap it in all these plastic bags to keep the water out, put it back in the log when they were done, and wait until the next day to blow more stuff up. And it becomes a little bit of a tradition. But one day when they were in the middle of blowing up some action figures, Lucas's parents, which is the rich kid's parents, happened to find them. They're not really sure how they happened to find them, you know? They don't know if they were like hearing all the fireworks going off and came to investigate or what, but sure enough, they walk up when they're in the middle of blowing up a G.I. Joe doll. And Lucas's dad yelled out to him, he's like, "What are you doing?" And before they even have a chance to explain what they're doing, the firework went off and this G.I. Joe just got like sent to space. And it was pretty obvious, you know, what they were doing. So obviously Lucas's dad wasn't too thrilled with this, starts telling them that they're being so irresponsible, somebody could have gotten hurt. You know, the stuff that the parents have to say because technically it's the truth. And listen, to be fair, it is pretty irresponsible to be strapping fireworks to like bottles and blowing them up, okay? It's not the smartest decision. I understand why Lucas's dad would be mad. I also understand why it would be fun to goof off with fireworks and blow things up. So I'm understanding the middle ground, but I get why the parent had to get pissed and be like, don't do this. Anyways, the entire group kind of gets yelled at by Lucas's parents, and he says that he's going to tell all their parents about what happened, and they're really going to get into trouble. And the way that they happened to work it out with, like, the stash of fireworks was they had taken out, like, you know, a handful of them and then put the rest back in the log. So Lucas's dad is like, "Is this all the fireworks you guys have left?" And obviously everyone was like, "Yeah, that's all we have." So he confiscated it, and he was going to tell everyone's parents. And he does, and obviously all the parents are not too thrilled about them running around the woods blowing stuff up, especially because, you know, they're like, listen, not only are we paying for the fireworks, well, I guess his brother did, but you get what I'm saying, you're just blowing up stuff that we bought you, and you're way too young to just be blowing stuff up, man. Like, are you guys idiots? I understand why they got in trouble, and they all end up getting grounded for like 2 weeks, which is not that bad, you know, but anyways, obviously, time does what time does and passes, and after 2 weeks, they're all ungrounded. Anyways, after they get ungrounded, they start hanging out again, but it just really wasn't the same. Lucas had always been a little bit spoiled and entitled, you know, his dad had a ton of money and would buy him whatever he wanted. Literally bought him a $3,000 laptop just to play World of Warcraft levels of entitled, you know, and they're young, so it's not 100% on him, but like after they got ungrounded, it was way worse. The first day that they all hung out, he like went off on them about how they were bad influences and he probably shouldn't hang out with them because he actually had a future and he was actually going to go places unlike them, so it was probably best if they didn't hang out, but then didn't leave, just kind of went in on them. And obviously everyone started arguing with him a bit, and it came out that he had like told his parents that it was their fault that they were blowing up stuff, and you know, he hadn't wanted to be involved and they just corralled him into it. Well, the only thing was they were just fine with blowing up the fireworks at first. They were just launching bottle rockets and stuff, setting off the firecrackers. They weren't blowing anything up. It had been Lucas's idea to start blowing stuff up. So, you know, obviously they're a little bit annoyed that he's saying they're bad influences and it's their fault when it was his idea. Obviously, no one wants to get lectured for something that they had nothing to do with. You know, well, I guess they had something to do with it, but like to be like, you guys are bad influences when he was the person influencing the ideas. So eventually they were arguing for a bit, but it got settled out, you know, it wasn't too dramatic. They just kind of went back and forth. And after that, they went back to just walking around the woods goofing off. And like I said, for a bit they were really into World of Warcraft, but after a few months, they all kind of just stopped playing it, except for Lucas. You know, they're young guys, they don't have the like monthly subscription money. Plus, on top of it, they had just kind of gotten bored of the game. The only one that could really play it all the time was Lucas. Everyone else could only play it for like an hour a day, so they just kind of stopped paying for it because they didn't use it a lot. Nothing wrong with the game, it is a good game, it's just like they just didn't want to pay for it. That's it. Well, the next time they hung out in the woods, Lucas started arguing with them about it, demanding that they get their accounts back. And when they told him they didn't want to pay for it because they didn't play it, he started calling them broke and saying that they just should get money from their parents and it's not a big deal. And like, yeah, man, obviously they're broke. You guys were like 13, 14 years old. They literally couldn't have a job. I think everyone is broke. And on top of it, dude, like, just ask your parents for it. Clearly, Lucas hadn't really figured out that not everyone has a bunch of oil on their land. I mean, listen, I'm not saying your parents, like, are never going to get you anything, but going to your parents and demand they pay a monthly subscription for a video game they don't play, yeah, I think that's something that, like, most parents would probably say no to. It's okay. But when they explained to him that they didn't have jobs and didn't want to pay for it, Lucas just got angrier with them and then was like, fine, if you guys want to just be losers, then that's how it can be. And at that point, they were just no longer excited to hang out with Lucas. Anytime they hung out and he showed up, the vibe was just way worse. And, you know, there was only 3 or 4 people in the neighborhood, so they didn't want to exclude him too much, but they were just really getting annoyed with him, way less enthusiastic about hanging out. But then on top of it, Lucas also started getting really, really bossy. So he's just insulting everyone, calling them broke, demanding they do things, and now trying to, like, tell them what to do. If they were all hanging out and they were doing something that Lucas didn't want to do, he would whine the entire time. He was just super insistent on only doing things that he wanted to do. For example, you know, like, okay, if he didn't want to do bike jumps, but everybody else did, he would just go all Egyptian pharaoh mode and expect someone to fan him while everybody else did all the work. You know, if they were playing a sport, he would just find a way to bend the rules to his advantage and, like, basically cheat the entire time they were playing it. So they just kept getting more and more annoyed about hanging out with this dude. And it got to the point that even though there was only 3-4 people in the neighborhood, they just all started avoiding him. And they were avoiding him for a little bit until one day they got a call on their house phones telling them to go meet at this log, which was kind of their code for the log where they stored the fireworks. So obviously everyone was like, okay, something's going on.
but it had been Lucas who called the meeting. So they thought maybe he was going to apologize, he'd seen the error in his ways. They didn't know what he was up to, but they weren't going to not go. So they all started going to the log, and they lived in like different houses, obviously in different directions. So everybody kind of like was walking in from different places, and there's a big clearing where the log is, which is where they'd set the fireworks off, so they can see Lucas before he can see them.
Anyways, when everyone gets to the point where they can see into the clearing, they see one of the weirdest things they've possibly ever seen and still have ever seen. It's Lucas, right? And he has his laptop in the clearing with like a bunch of M80s on it and firecrackers on the keyboard and on the screen that he's taped there. And he's next to it with a lighter, looking like an evil villain from a James Bond movie, like imagine the laptop has all the codes on it to prevent the nuclear war. And he sees one of them, so he yells out, he's like, everyone come into the clearing. He's really embracing the whole evil villain thing, dude. Like, get out here, I want to see you when I talk to you. And they all come out wondering what's going on, and he begins his evil villain speech, dude. One that would basically rival all James Bond evil villain speeches. Truthfully, to this day, he's still in contact with the production teams over there because they might use a version of it in the James Bond origin stories about his days of spying in 8th grade. I know that you've been avoiding me, and I don't like it. Plus, since none of you play World of Warcraft anymore, I don't use my laptop. So either you stop avoiding me and get World of Warcraft, or I will blow up my laptop. Which, listen, man, it's a fine speech. I get it. You're threatening to blow up the laptop unless they stop avoiding you, blah, 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 blah. Like, I get it in principle, right? The only problem is, it's not their laptop. Like, as far as threats go, saying, hang out with me or I'll blow up my laptop, it's just not a very good one. Like, oh no, you're gonna damage your belongings? That would really suck. Like, they don't care, bro. They have nothing to do with it. Anyways, one of the people from the group yelled out that they didn't care what he did to his laptop, which, fair enough. It's not their laptop. They haven't really been hanging out with you. And on top of it, they don't play the game. So, like, okay, man. Imagine if someone you played Xbox with 8 years ago, like, called you up into the fold and told you that if you didn't start playing with them again, they'd break their Xbox. All right, man, you have fun with that. Anyways, he snaps back at that guy that he's serious and he really will do it. He's been thinking a lot about it and he thinks this'll show them that he's serious about it. And listen, man, I don't think they're doubting that you'll do it. I just think they really don't care. If you've really put a lot of thought into this, then clearly you're just not very good at the whole thinking thing, because I don't understand why they would want to be magically friends with you, because now you're blackmailing them or you'll blow up your laptop. You're basically saying, I will threaten you to keep this friendship going. Threaten ship, I guess, also would have worked there. But still, I'm gonna threaten you to keep this friendship going, or I'll break my stuff. It's like, all right, man, I don't like being threatened, so go ahead and break your things. I don't care. You've been bossing them around to the point where they're literally avoiding you, You had to call them to come meet you out here to even get them to show up. I don't think they care if you blow up your things. Especially because you've been bossing them around and, like, breaking all the rules and stuff. How do they know you're not going to break the rules and just not light it, huh? How about that one, Sir Lucas? Anyways, all of them not wanting to be bad friends and not wanting to, like, encourage him to blow up his laptop, kind of tell him to knock it off. They're like, hey, man, seriously, just please stop. This isn't funny, come on, you're gonna regret blowing up your laptop. Like, don't threaten us to have to hang out with you. We don't want to pay for the game. Like, seriously, please just stop. Which is fair enough. Like, they could have been pissed, but obviously they don't want to encourage him to break his laptop. They're still being good friends. But Lucas is having none of it, He doubles down and goes full on mini Karen mode and tells them that he's going to count down from 10. And if he gets to 1 and none of them agree to the terms of what he said, then he's gonna light it. And so he starts literally counting down, like an angry parent does to a toddler. 10, 9, and like no one steps forward because, like I said, nobody should care or would care about something that's not theirs when you're threatening them. And so he continues to count down, but he starts getting slower and slower in between numbers to try to stall. And he gets to 3 and launches into another little speech to try to, like, stall a little bit to see if anyone would do anything. And he's like, guys, I really will light it. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. And then he goes 2, and still nobody steps forward because everyone at this point is just like, all right, this is so dramatic, man. I'm just not going to step forward for you.
And then he gets to 0, and he tries to stall a little bit, he tries to launch into another speech and be like, okay guys, see, what this shows you is that I really am serious about it, so if no one's gonna step forward. But right in the middle of explaining that like someone should really interrupt him, one of them just yelled out, just light it, bro. And obviously at that point, Lucas just kind of felt like he had to do it, so he lit it. And now the fuse is spiraling down, and as the fuse is spiraling down, he starts running towards them because they've now congregated at like the upper part of the clearing. So now everyone is just watching this fuse go down, and at this point, I'm going to describe the laptop a little more. So it's open, and it's got firecrackers on the screen and on the keyboard, and he's like twisted all these fuses together, and then there's two M80s on either side of it, and obviously once it's lit, so everyone's watching, and it gets closer and closer to the laptop, and it finally goes up, and the laptop lights up, dude. There's two booms, boom, boom. The screen just starts popping, the firecrackers are going off, and Lucas starts yelling at them saying that this is all their fault, and obviously no one really cares because obviously it's not their fault. Oh, why'd you guys do this? It's like, man, I don't know. I didn't twist all the fuses together, set it up, and then light it. That was kind of a you thing. And it is still going off for a little bit because he had used all the firecrackers that were left in the log. And finally, it stops going off. And it's definitely still like the shape of a laptop. You could tell that it was a laptop at one point, but it's also very obvious from even far away that it is no longer in working condition. It kind of looks like a semi-truck had driven over it, backed up over it, driven over it, backed up over it, and then driven over it one more time just for good measure. So Lucas starts running over to it, and he's yelling out like, why didn't you stop me from lighting the fuse? What's wrong with you? You're bad friends. And they're like, dude, we're not trying to be bad friends. It just wasn't our laptop, and we didn't want to do what you asked for, so we let you light your laptop off. And then he starts ranting about how his parents are going to be pissed, and it's like, yeah, probably, dude. I'm sure your parents are gonna be mad. I don't know many parents that would be cool with their kid blowing up their laptop. That's a pretty expensive thing to blow up. If you guys all got grounded for 2 weeks for blowing up a G.I. Joe doll, I don't know. You might get in a little bit of trouble for blowing up the $3,000 laptop if I ventured out here. And they start looking at him like he's crazy and to ask him straight up, like, well, then why did you blow it up? Like, if you knew you were going to get in trouble, why did you do it? Let's not pretend that blowing up a laptop is ever smart, but it's especially dumb if you know you're going to get in a crap ton of trouble. And his answer to that is basically like, well, I didn't think you guys were going to let me blow it up. Terrible plan, man. No failsafe. Yeah, your laptop was basically a goner from day one. Anyways, he starts freaking out now about the fact that he blew up his laptop, and he's like holding the remains of the laptop in his hand, and he's like, I can't believe it blew up. But what did he expect when he was like duct taping the firecrackers to it, dude? Like he had, fused all Oh, not fused all the fuses, that's not right. But like, you know what I'm saying, had twisted all the fuses together. The entire time he's doing that, he didn't think about the fact that he was, putting fireworks on his laptop. Why did it blow up? I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the 30 minutes of setting up all the fireworks on the laptop you did earlier. Maybe, just maybe. Anyways, he says he's going home, and he takes his laptop with him, and everybody else kind of stands there, and they're talking about it, wondering what that all was, and like just how much of a train wreck it was. And they go home, and they tell their parents what happened, just because this dude had blamed a bunch of stuff on them before, so just to be safe, they wanted to tell their parents exactly what had happened. And they got some weird questions about it from their parents, because obviously it's a bizarre thing to hear that somebody just blew up their laptop for no reason, but whatever, they kind of go about their night. But later that night, the subscriber gets a knock on his door, and he goes and answers it, and it's Lucas's parents. And they're like, hey, can we please talk to you? And his parents are like, yeah, that's fine, but don't yell at him, like, just talk to him. And they're like, yeah, no, we just want to talk. So they go outside, and they ask him about, like, can you tell us what happened in the woods today? We won't be mad, just tell us the truth. And just something about the way that they said it made him be like, okay, I actually can, this isn't one of those trick things where they're like, you won't get in trouble if you're honest, and then you're honest, and they're like, you're in trouble. So he decided to tell them exactly what had gone down. So he kind of tells them that Lucas blew up his laptop to prove to them that, he was serious about why they shouldn't avoid him and also should play the computer game with him, which obviously he couldn't play anymore because he doesn't have a computer.
And his parents asked, like, well, did you guys tell him to do that? And he said no. He actually called us, told him to meet him there. And when we got there, he had like all the fireworks strapped to his laptop. And of course, they kind of explain what had gone on. And they say that Lucas had tried to blame his laptop being blown up on them, like it was all his fault. And at first, they believed him. So they went to the first kid's house all pissed off. And then he kind of told him what happened. And his parents were like, yeah, he told us that the second he got home. And obviously, after stopping at everyone else's house along the way, kind of realized that that was actually what happened. And, you know, they were at the last stop, which was his house. And the fact that he told the same story confirmed that their son was just an idiot who had decided to blow up his laptop for some reason. Really didn't think that one through, especially the fact that, like, his parents were obviously going to go ask why they blew up his laptop. You know, did he think they were just going to let it slide and not say anything to the people who did it? Or sorry, apparently did it. We all know Lucas is the one who actually did. Anyways, Lucas's parents thanked him and then like went on their way home, and all the friends except Lucas met up the next day and started talking about it and said that yeah, sure enough, his parents had showed up and like asked what happened, so they had said obviously what happened so they didn't get in trouble for it. And you know, it was a pretty weird thing all in all, but as they're talking about it, Lucas walks out of the woods and starts yelling at them for not covering for him. Which, like, I don't really know why in the world they would. So they ask him, like, why would we have covered for you? And he starts saying because his parents are pissed at him because he blew up his laptop and they should have just covered for him. Like, bro, obviously your parents are going to be pissed at you for blowing up your laptop. And why would they cover for you? Like, that's a little bit too big of a thing to cover for. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously it sounds bad to your parents because that's actually what happened. And I think you're nuts to expect your friends to take blowing up your laptop, like, just on their chin for you. They end up arguing back and forth for a bit before Lucas is done, and he says that he hates them and they should have covered for him and that it was a bad move that they did that, like they were bad friends. Like, listen, honestly, I'm all for covering for the boys if it's something small, you know? Something tiny that's like pretty easy to just whatever. Oh no, he wasn't cheating off my homework. Oh, we did it together and he just didn't finish writing it down. You know, something like that, fair. I don't know if you should take a whole laptop on the chin for somebody else. I feel like that's not a good decision. Especially if his parents just ask what happened and you tell them what happened. Like, I don't feel like that's that bad. You didn't make up a story where Lucas was worse. Especially on this one. Anyways, after like yelling at them saying they were bad friends, he left. And they all kind of were like, all right, well, we're not ever going to hang out with him again. And sure enough, they never did, because you don't want to hang out with a dude like that. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. And seriously, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam whatsoever, your computer will also explode. And while you're down there, comment the word computer in the comment section. It just helps the video do better, lets me know you made it all the way to the end. I'd really appreciate it. And if you really want to help me out, I do post the audio versions of these on my Spotify, link in the description. So check that out if you want to listen without gameplay, offline, whatever floats your boat. And one last thing, I did make a playlist of some of my favorite story times from this year so far, so I'll throw that in the description too. But if you need something to listen to while you do your homework or game or whatever, feel free to use that. And yeah, on that note, that'll actually do it, guys. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.